In this lesson, we're going to go over adding and subtracting signed numbers. So adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. Let's start with adding like sign numbers. In my opinion, this is the easiest. So adding like signs. Okay, I'm just going to draw a number line here. Help us out a little bit. Alright, so let's look at a regular example, which we all know. 1 plus 3. Okay, this is just positive 1 plus 3, 4. Okay, let's see why that is true. When we have 1 and we add 3, we're really starting at 1, and we're adding 3 more. So now we have 1, 2, 3 more. We end up with 4. That should make sense. Let's look at what happens when we add negative numbers together. So negative 1 plus negative 2. Okay, we start at negative 1, and we'll add negative 2. So that's if we add negative 1. If we add negative 2, we'll end up here. Negative 3. Okay, now let's take a look if we add negative 2 and negative 3 together. So we start here at negative 2. It's 1, 2, 3. So negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. So what we see here is that 1 plus 3 is 4. Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. Let's make sense of this. We all know 1 plus 3 is 4. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So if the signs are the same, you just add these two numbers together. 1 plus 2, 3. They're both negative. So negative 1 plus negative 2 would be negative 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. So negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. So when the signs are the same, we're just going to add the numbers together. And keep the sign. When I say we're going to add the numbers together, I mean these are actual values without the sign. So let's take a look. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. Negative 2 and negative 3, the signs are the same. They're both negative. Just going to add 2 plus 3, get 5. And we keep the negative. So another one, for example, negative 4 plus negative 11. The signs are the same, so we add. 4 plus 11 is 15. And we keep the sign, so it's negative 15. Okay, now let's go over adding unlike signs. So adding unlike signs. Again, I'll draw a number line. Alright, so let's start with 1 plus negative 4. Alright, so we start out at 1, and we add negative 4, so we go 4 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get negative 3. What if we do negative 4 plus 2? Okay, we're at negative 4, and we add 2. 1, 2. Get negative 2. Let's do negative 3. And we'll add 5. So negative 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get 2. Let's see what the pattern is here. 1 and negative 4 is 3. Negative 4 and 2 is 2. Negative 3 and 5 is 2. So it looks like when the signs are different, we find the difference between the numbers. So the difference between 4 and 1, or 1 and 4, is 3. And it's negative because the bigger number is negative. Negative 4 plus 2. So the difference between 4 and 2 is 2. And again, the bigger number is negative, so the answer is negative. Here we have negative 3 plus 5. They're unlike signs, so we're actually going to find the difference. The difference between 3 and 5 is 2. And in this case, the bigger number is positive, so the answer is positive. So let's try one with that rule without the number line. We'll do negative 7 plus 13. We're adding them and the signs are different, so we find the difference. The difference between 7 and 13 is 6. And the bigger number is positive, so the answer is positive. So for adding, when signs are different, or we have unlike signs, we find the difference. And we keep the sign of the larger number. Okay, now let's go over subtraction. Okay, I'll draw a number line here. Okay, so let's do 2 minus negative 4. Alright, so it's 2 minus negative 4. So if we had 2 and we added negative 4, we would go in the negative 4 direction, in the negative direction to the left. But we're getting rid of negative 4. So it's the opposite. So we're really going to add 4. We end up with 6. Let's try a different one. Let's do negative 3 minus 2. Okay, we have negative 3. And we're subtracting 2. So when you do subtraction, you go to the left. So we had negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. 1, 2. Negative 5. Okay, what if we had negative 2 minus 2? We have negative 2, and we're taking 2 away. So we go further down to negative 4. So let's think about this logically first. we had, say, $2, okay, and then we took away -4. So that's a good thing. You know, maybe you owed someone $4, but you took it away. You don't owe that person $4 anymore. They said, forget about it. So that's like having an extra $4. You no longer have to pay that $4. So we increased by 6. We increased to 6. We increased by 4 to 6. Okay, let's say you have -$3 because you already owe people $3. And somehow you spend another $2. Maybe you borrowed another $2. So now you owe -5. You owe $5 altogether. You actually have -$5. So you already were negative. You spent some more. You're further negative. Same thing. You were already -$2, and you spent $2 more. So now you owe $4 altogether. Okay, if you can't think of this logically, it's okay. There's a quick rule to know how to do this. What we're going to do is something called keep, change, change. So, for example, this one, 2 minus -4. Okay, we keep the first number, so that stays 2. We change the minus to a plus, and we change -4 to +4. So we got 2 plus 4 is 6. Okay, let's try the next one. -3 minus 2. Alright, so we keep the first number, that stays -3. We change this minus to a plus. And this is +2, so we're going to have to change it to -2. Okay, and we follow our rules for adding sign numbers. When the signs are the same, we just add them. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And we keep the same sign. So -3 plus -2 is -5. See, the answers match up so far. Okay, let's try this one. We had -2 minus 2. So again, we're going to keep, change, change. We keep the -2. Change the minus to a plus. And we change the +2 to a -2. Okay, rules for adding. Signs are the same. Add them together. Keep the same sign. -4. Okay, let me show you another example. If we had 3 minus 8. Okay, this isn't too bad because they're both positive. But we're subtracting more than we have. So you should expect the answer to be negative. You're spending more money than you have. But let's solve it using keep, change, change. So we keep the 3. Change the minus to a plus. And change the +8 to a -8. So again, we're going to use our rules for addition. In this case, we're adding two numbers and the signs are different. So we find the difference. The difference between 3 and 8 is 5. And we keep the sign of the larger value. 8's greater than 3, and it's negative, so our answer is going to be negative. So when we're subtracting sign numbers, we can use keep, change, change to change it to an addition problem, and we'll just use our rules for adding sign numbers.